Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the weekly Old School Q&A. I hope you're all having an exciting week. We have a couple of things to talk about today, but first, introducing the couch, we have Mod Kieran.
Hello.
Mod Monroe.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod Bruno.
Hello.
And I'm your host, Mod Wolf. Nice to see you all. I hope you're all doing really well. Mod Rise on the chat, he also helped gather the questions there, so thank you so much. At Old School RS, if you have any questions, we can answer from the chat.
We got Mod Rock upstairs as well. He's going to be noting down any of the good suggestions that come up that we all talk about with you guys and
Only the good ones.
Only the good ones.
Yeah.
We're usually very limited on those numbers, but we'll see. Let's talk about the things that we usually talk about at the start, so pictures and stuff. So firstly, you might have heard about a little competition that went out a little while ago to find out, the 100 Master Clue Scroll reward. We have our top 3, and they will be polled tomorrow, so look forward to that in the poll. But you're going to get a little sneak peek now of those 3, the top 3, and we're going to straw poll you on them now. So there you go, those are the 3 that we've chose. We have the chest. I don't believe we chose that chest helmet one. This is the first time I've actually looked at it, but that's great. We have the two-handed magnifying glass, and then we have I like the spectacles. Those are pretty good.
Say two-handed magnifying glass.
So those, is it magnifying glass?
Well, it's in his right hand.
It is one hand.
Oh, right.
It's very big for one-handed. I couldn't fit that in one hand.
Stuffs are also big, though.
That's true. Those big gobbles.
That is the lollipop of the gods.
That is. So get that in the straw poll, and we're going to move on to the next picture suggestion that we have while we wait for those results to come in. So do remember to vote on that. Next picture, please, Mod John. Awesome, there we go. So this is a suggestion that came in on Reddit, and it was, can we store our Slayer helms in the house similar to how we can store our kits? You can hang them up and display them and take them down and put them back on and stuff. What do you guys think?
I like the idea, especially the bit where you can see it.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
I hear a but.
The code won't look, the code won't look cool.
Head there. So, if we were putting them in a room that's got no existing furniture, such as a brand new room, which we can make, then that would be okay because we'd be able to use a hotspot slot for each of them, and we could make them just work like hotspots and give you the thing back when you take it off the wall, unlike some hotspots. If, on the other hand, it's trying to be one hotspot that covers all of them, we wouldn't be able to have that many combinations of which helm you've got there, especially if they've got alternate forms for the imbuing. So we'd kind of need it to be a separate room, really, to have that many spare hotspots available for it. Which is not a problem, because we can make more rooms. It would just be a room without much other furniture in.
Alternatively, if they didn't mind the prettiness of it, which I actually think is a really important part of this.
Well, yeah, it's a POH that pretty is essential.
Yeah, but we could essentially add a helmet storing thing that's kind of like a wardrobe, but it wouldn't look as cool as this. So
You could stick it in as another costume room thing where the things are just sitting in it, but that's probably not where they were going when they came up with this concept. I mean, we don't have to have any other furniture in the room. It could just have, 8 kinds of helmets stuck on the wall, 2 on each side, or 7, and then we can have some carpet.
what a weird.
How many models can you have in a lock?
As in lock 1 through 4. We talk about different.
Like model 1, model 2, model 3.
4.
4.
Ah,
It's not enough.
too many combinations. Yeah, too many combinations.
Yeah.
And this is why you can't keep getting more and more Slayer helmets. But there you go.
10 with NPCs. I don't know. Well, logs were just different. This is kind of stuff that was built into the engine back in 04, so it's not something we got much input in.
It's a lot of models to save out separately if you want to do it as one.
It's a very arduous job for Rye, probably. Every combination of Paul that you could make. Think about that. 6 of them. By 6.
And I'm sure he's had so much fun looking at the Slayer homes this morning already from the thing that he was fixing.
Yes. Actually, speaking of tomorrow's updates, one of which is the Slayer helmet update that was pulled to make it look a bit more dark and like the old version without the enchant on it. Another big update that's actually coming tomorrow is left-click cooking on range. Mod Kieran, how was that to develop? Because I know that was fun.
Well, adding left-click cook on the ranges didn't take long at all. I mean, that part was easy. Making it actually cook your food, that was the more worrying part. So I'm going to put in a little segment in tomorrow's news post to show you a little bit behind the scenes of the code infrastructure that now exists for cooking, show you guys how it's set up and how easy it is going to be in the future to add new items to it, and show you what it potentially used to be as well. So the problem is you had lumberage range, and that offered special rates for certain items. It wasn't just a random selection of mostly lower level items. Then you had fires, which were all separate as well, and then other ranges as separate from all of those. And they all separately had all the data listed for all the items you could cook on them, which meant it was all duplicated. Stop laughing every time I say the word cook. It's gonna come out. I swear this is the only reason I'm doing this segment.
I mean, it's not the only reason. It's
But I basically pulled all of that data from those 3 separate locations and put them into one set of data structures, which can then be read wherever I please in a far more handy way. Because you can left click on a range, I need to look in your inventory and say, which of these items can be cooked? Once I've found all these items that can be cooked, put them on an interface that lets you select which ones you want to cook and how many you want to cook, and so on. So
the TLDR is cooking's being rewritten. It's essentially being rewritten entirely.
Yeah, I mean the actual infrastructure for, doing the range part, that hasn't changed. That's all solid. So I just basically changed the way you get into that and the way we get the data associated with it. Just a note, with tomorrow's update, a few things will be changing with XP because
Don't start like that because it's scary.
Save your rees for now. But the lumberage range, because obviously as I just mentioned, had separate data stored on the lumberage range as to everywhere else. Some of the XP values for, I believe, 4 items were slightly lower than elsewhere. Your thin snails, lean snails, and fat snails offered about like 10 to 15 less XP per, and I believe meat pies was quite similar as well.
Well, you took away the main cooking methods in the game now, mate. You've got them.
I know.
That's it.
Basically, on the lumberage range, you got worse XP, but slightly better cooking, slightly better burn rates. I have no idea why, but they're all going to offer the same XP now. And there's one other. There's the cooking of raw yak meat, well-known cooking training method. But when you cook raw yak meat, it's just like cooking raw beef. It turns all into just cooked mysterious meat, essentially. And
mystery meat.
Now, they all give 30 XP, but for some reason, when you cooked raw yak meat, you got 40 XP. It's now 30. Sorry.
Oh, no. What a massive nerf coming in from Mod Kieran.
Don't know how people get 99 now.
Yeah.
Well, it's that yak meat only pure that's really going to be in trouble.
The yak meat only Iron Man. 99. So yeah, there you go. We thought we'd let you know about that. If there are any issues, of course, you can right-click the report button in game and submit any bugs. But there will be 0 bugs tomorrow because we're always confident.
The glory days are of a set of yak cookers.
And that's the professional opinion of the quality assurance team.
Technically, I only RC tested it, so I'm not feeling too bad. But it is a big job, so there might be some things that might have been missed. If that is the case, please do report them.
I like the bit with I like how when the moment you started trying to test cooking in RC, that's the release candidate build. The first thing you did was find a bug in the Slayer helm model.
yeah, that's true actually. One last thing.
I fixed it.
Just before you go on, so I've completely blanked on what I was trying to say now. It's gone.
It's about 1 ticks.
No, it's
One-tick
not about
around
1
bands
ticks.
have been untouched, so you can still one-tick around band just as well as you could before.
But you can't one-tick Kawambam on the left click, right?
No, you can't.
So you've still got to use your Kawambams on the range or the fire to one-tick them. So that hasn't been affected, hopefully.
Was that what you were going to say?
No, it wasn't what I was going to say.
Okay. Mod Kieran's probably not going to answer questions the next 5 minutes while he tries to remember that. I do want to highlight to the chat, because they are obviously, of course, spamming it. I have been told to direct you all to @DMM updates on Twitter. It's a way to keep up to date with Deadman mode. It's a good way to find out what's happening in the event. It's also used to convey important messages, and in the meantime, they're also using that to communicate any actions taken against rule breakers. I don't have anything more to say than that, and I'm going to politely request that you move on from spamming in the chat so that we can get some questions to Old School RS, so we can take your questions. But it has been seen at DMM updates for any more information that we could potentially have in the future. You can spam the chat, just, you know, not, yeah. Let's keep it on topic, guys. Come on, be nice.
Right, I remember what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, he's remembered.
He's back, yes.
It's not that exciting, calm down. But yeah, I think you were mentioning it, Wolf, that obviously with such a big rewrite, you are going to probably see a few bugs implemented in cooking all of a sudden.
We're confident they won't, but it's potentially.
Obviously, this could potentially happen. The sort of bugs that we've seen in testing was little bits of data entry done wrong. You know, I had to spend about 15 hours just basically putting data into structs for it, which was tedious. But that meant it was very easy to like get an XP value wrong, or you know, put something in wrong by copy and paste and that sort of thing. So, like, I ran into a bug where raw pikes were turning into cooked salmons, for example. I mean, we're pretty sure we're going to get no more of those. I believe Mod Bruno went through every single item and tried cooking it.
Don't you hate when you cook a pike and you get 2.147 mil?
I was about to say that.
Nightmare when that happens.
Yeah, so obviously that's where scythes come from now.
Yeah. So, yeah, have you cooked your pikes? Panic buy pikes.
Get a scythe.
There might be the case where maybe there's a handful of XP values that are off, and that sort of little issue that we can very quickly solve. So just let us know.
They're good? Awesome. Right, let's move into the... Oh, did I announce the straw poll results?
Nope.
No.
I didn't announce straw poll results of those 100 Master Clue Scroll rewards. A was 55%, B at 25%, and C at 20%. It might be a... You know, when this is released to everyone, it might be a close result, actually. But, yeah. It looks like A is currently the
I hope
preferred.
it'll be very different on the day.
I do as well. I don't want A to...
You know,
I'm not the
a
biggest...
straw poll on Twitch you can joke around with, and you can be like, yes, I want this casket helmet in the game. But when you do it for real, people might feel like, I really don't want to see that.
And yet the idea for a chest, a treasure chest that you wear on your torso, so we have the chest. I do feel that it would be nice to have one of those.
I remember Kieran's like prerogative throughout all this was like, I want anything that is carried like the big massive chest, and he was running about the office like this for like 10 seconds going, I want like the big chest and the big, like that kind of stuff.
We
That was
like
funny.
a big chest, it seems.
I hope you carry the magnifying glass like that. That should be good. Right, let's go on to the questions. First one by Zorgden. Could Torstal potions unfinished be treated the same way as Torstal herbs when making super combat potions and anti-venom pluses? How that is, I couldn't tell you. What's the difference? Does anybody know the difference?
I'm not too sure.
I believe you make a super combat potion with a super attack, super strength, super defense, and a Torstal.
Yeah.
Is it used
And they want to be able to use an unfinished Torstal instead of the Torstal herb.
Because if you make the Torstal potion unfinished, you're basically making Zami brews,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
which no one really wants to make that much compared to super combats.
What do people...
It doesn't seem, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how the code's set up. I'm not sure how easy a change that would be, but it seems reasonable. I've nothing against it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't know why. Why are people getting a load of unfinished Torstals?
Unfinished Torstal potions have very little use, isn't it? Is it Zamarak?
No, yeah, I'm not disagreeing they don't have much use, but why are you making them?
Maybe accidentally.
People
Maybe
not
they
knowing.
dropped. I
That's
don't know
how
if they
you
dropped by anything.
Make the super combats, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, people do make things by mistake sometimes
Yeah.
and find
Yeah.
they can't do what they intended with it. I've had a few requests about that over the years as well, although the Herblock code is a little more complicated than it used to be, so I've not tried tinkering with it.
Oh yeah, Nada. You might have took them to the pub and accidentally
Yeah.
done that. That's a good shout. Thanks, chat.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well the Herblock code can handle two different things being an ingredient, but I'm sure we can manage it.
Awesome. Next question from Grandmaster Clue. Can we... Oh, actually, ask that one. Next question from Scarecrow on a Field. What are your thoughts on adding an additional use to God pages? Currently, half the pages are not necessarily useful content.
Did he say what the use was meant to be?
I think there was actually a picture with this one, but I wasn't provided with it.
Like
There was a picture with it, yeah.
origami?
It was to do with like converting a different NPCs and things. I think to like they'd lost their book for proselytizing to their following, so you had to give them back their book, and they'd give you some amount of prayer XP and things for pages and stuff like that.
I was always a big fan. A couple of months ago, I saw a suggestion that was use a blessing or god pages as like an ingredient in a spell with runes, and you cast it, and it grants you an hour protection in God Wars of that god type. So you use like a Zamorak page and X amount of Wrath runes and other combat runes, and you cast it, and you get an hour protection from that god.
I like that.
Maybe you could incinerate it so that the burning of the god page affects the environment in there in whatever way you find useful. Maybe via some kind of permanent salt-based brazier.
You throw 1,000 of these pages on.
1,000 pages.
Please give us salt suggestions.
If you use a tinderbox on them, they turn to ash. That's it.
That's it. Zamorak ash can be used as a secondary ingredient for a potion.
No, they just
I think
turned
it'd
to
be
ash.
called God Ash.
God, oh, there you go.
No, they just turned to ash. Like, we just turned them into ashes.
I will, after this, share that picture around with everybody just so we can have a look, because I think there was a picture of that one. Sorry, I didn't get that one provided for this one. Sorry. Next question from Olympic Otter asks, can we expect to be able to wear capes in Barbarian Assault anytime soon? The beard trick.
Yes,
I love this story.
We love the beard trick.
I would love to employ the beard trick in more places.
You want to explain the beard trick and then explain why this is actually a big job?
So, you might have noticed when you do Barb Assault that you get essentially like a symbol put in your cape slot. That is representing the item that has actually been placed into your worn slot, which actually has the model of that ring around your feet.
It literally.
You'll notice when you actually do certain emotes that ring moves around with you as if it is on your back, sort of thing, which is amusing. But what we can do instead is put that item into your beard slot. Because, yes, your worn inventory might not show that you have a beard slot, but it does indeed have a beard slot.
Even female characters have a beard slot.
Which actually, this would be a much easier job if you could only play Barbarian Assault if you were a female, because a lot less beard slots to take into account. We wouldn't have to make a goatee with the attack, a goatee with the defense.
So that's essentially what it's used for. Go on.
I was going to say, this may sound like a really strange hack that could never work, but we did it in Clan Wars a couple of years ago. In Clan Wars, where you get a team cape effect without a cape.
Yeah.
I did it by creating beards with team cape properties associated with them. And when you go into Clan Wars, we give you we replace your beard, or your lack of beard for women, with the team cape beard, or team cape lack of beard for women, that belongs with your facial hair.
How many beards are there?
About 14.
So it's like 14 by 4 plus the female version equivalent chin times 4. So you're looking at quite a few models.
Ampheus3 asks a very good question. Why not create another slot type? Engine work. But we didn't want to be held back from releasing the feature, so I came up with shoving it in your beard slot, and that's what we did to Clan
Out of
all those years ago. And Kieran's saying we can do it to Barbie Assault.
I did it for...
Barbie is French for beard, I think, so that's just a coincidence.
If anyone remembers watching the PvP Championships, it was a little while ago now, but we did a series of like 20v20, 5v5s and 1v1s in Clan Wars. Now, we had a whole overlay system going on, like sort of like a Tekken-style screen, inventory on the left, inventory on the right, bars of HP, and they had colours associated with them, and they had the names of who was fighting. I made the player in game get a coloured ring under them that matched the colour on the screen, and that was done by that exact same method.
It is probably the coolest hack that I think you've ever done.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of them, and that is probably the coolest one that I can think of.
Yeah, I think Magic Beards is...
Magic Beards is quite...
Yeah, I'll keep that one.
This is just so clever.
I'm glad I told you guys about it, because it was very useful for the thing you were writing at the time.
It was.
So
it is a sort of weird circumstance where generally your helmet will often have a model that's associated with the beard slot and the head slot, because obviously a lot of you wear this full helm, it covers up your beard, so your beard doesn't show.
Can you put it on?
Do you want to demonstrate that?
Yeah.
If he puts it on, can he take it off again?
Watch this.
Maybe, maybe not.
It doesn't really work. My beard's still here. It was a good effort though.
We should have brought someone with an actual beard.
Yeah, that's true. It's a sad day on the couch when I have the most impressive beard going on, and I'm the one that actively tries to avoid having
Do you
it.
want to try putting it? I mean, the problem is it hasn't got that bottom. It hasn't got the bottom flap, has it? Like a real full helm does.
You have to wear it back to front.
So if I put it on like this, oop, you might have heard that.
Anyway, yes, it is definitely possible. It's quite a bit of work because of the amount of models required, but something that we can do. Is that a good summary?
It's not so much about the amount of models, it's about tying into the Barbarian Assault spaghetti and trying to replace what it currently has with magic beards.
The models aren't a problem because, luckily, I mean, we have the system where you create an object, you can essentially associate with many models with it. And then the engine will automatically compile them into essentially one model that's displayed on your character. So we don't really have to do much work at all. I don't have to save anything out.
We might need,
brilliant.
healer icon for people with goatees, healer icon for people with the Salvador Dali thing,
Yeah.
etc.
But that's a matter of just making a bunch of configs which have the two models specified. So
We might also want to look into whether we can take any labelling off the existing icons, because that way they shouldn't animate so much when you distort yourself, contort your body.
Cool. Moving on to the next question from Baravo. Can smoke and shadow spells potentially be looked into to have a buff? Smoke should poison for more, and shadow spells could drain magic or defense instead of attack. Suggestions just to make the underutilized spells in Ancients better?
Been a while since I heard anyone do anything that wasn't blood or ice.
Yeah.
well, as for smoke, the Zuriel staff is doing exactly that right now in Deadman, because the Zuriel staff essentially gives buffs to all the different ancient spells. Shadow is still useless, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Would people want to see them buffed in the main game? We need a good idea.
I'd be more interested in seeing bosses with mechanics that require those spells, I guess.
Like Sire.
Yes, that was what I was getting at. I was trying to
I think it's fine, to be honest.
The thing is, why would you ever use them over a freeze that can hold your opponent in place and does a lot of damage?
A 20-second freeze.
Yeah. Like,
That's a big freeze.
yeah, as much as it's nice to make them possibly be useful, you wouldn't tend to use them over the freeze most of the time, I think, especially in PvP. I think perhaps making other use cases for them in other content might be a good idea.
Awesome. Next question coming in from Chompy. Can we get a bagged Bushu flower as a rare drop from raids? I'd love to bring some of the aesthetics from the Chambers of Zerek into my player-owned house.
I like that. We've got a lot more capacity on the existing hotspots than we used to.
I don't mind adding rewards to things in that aren't directly combat related in a combat related thing that you could sell.
How did they say they were going to get it?
He just says as a rare drop from raids, and I would make it tradable. I think it's pretty cool.
I'm perfectly happy with that.
Yeah.
Like,
The herbs do look pretty cool. Whether they fit in your house, I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
they do look cool.
Well, they've got flower spots.
maybe you got to bag it yourself.
You got to bag it yourself.
So you buy an empty bag from that guy who sells all the flowered bags. Bagged flowers. Oops. And then you take that into the raid, and when you get one of the herbs, you can use it on the bag.
Maybe you
take
get
and
the
you
item,
smuggle it with
and
you.
to make it tradable, you buy something from him, and you can sell it to people. But because you don't want to really be carrying a bag. It's like, you know when you go to Tesco and you forget to carry a bag, so you spend the 5p anyway, and you're like, oh damn it, I wish I brought my 20 other carry bags left at home.
It's 10 pence now, and I'm very happy to spend 10 pence. Like, look. When this 5p carrier bag change came in, and we all still had the normal plastic bags, fine, I can fit that in my pocket.
So where were we?
Yeah. The big 10p bags now are too big. That's the problem.
Awesome. Yes, it is a good thing that we'd like to look into potentially in the future. Savage Poster asks, can you remove the Venom mechanic from PvP? Oh my god. For the record, I didn't gather these questions. This is a big one. It's removed from Deadman mode because it's very strong. Basically, every single boss is immune to Venom for balance reasons, and basically every non-boss situation that Venom would be useful for got changed to not allow it. It just forces everyone who enters the wilderness to bring an anti-Venom, even though they don't expect to fight anyone with Zor items, because you get Venomed, and it's basically a death sentence. That was the question. Thoughts on that, guys?
It's one of those things that you have to protect against it. So, I mean, it's fair enough to use it. You don't see anyone complain because someone used D-bots on them, because they don't have anti-fire. So it'll be a big change.
I don't know enough about PvP or the community personally to comment. So
I know back in the day when Zoga Flesh Eaters came out, and the developers' intent was that disease would be another PvP mechanic like poison. So along with carrying anti-poison into the wilderness, you'd also bring disease cure into the wilderness. And he also wanted to have multiple different types of disease, so that you'd have to bring lots of disease cures into the wilderness. And it would be a interesting strategy to see which you decided to bring and which ones you took the risk of not meeting. So I guess if you ran into somebody who's using the special kind of disease that makes your fletching level go down or something, then you'd have to make sure you got the cure for that or whatever. And Andrew said to the dev not to do that, so he didn't.
thanks,
do
Andrew.
that.
Yeah, you're the man.
Yes. Very clever was Andrew. It feels like making people bring lots of stuff into the wilderness just on the off chance is, well, clogging up their inventories rather than being an interesting tactic.
Yeah.
But given that you might reasonably want to bring anti-poison, anti-venom instead is the same slot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. My Life 212.
No, the developer in question wrote Zoga Flesh Eaters a very, very long time ago. It wasn't Kieran or me.
He also didn't put in some chat that he'd written, but then didn't combine anywhere, and you fixed that recently, I think.
I did run into some code relating to a Zoga, to an ogre guard outside of the Zoga area that had never been installed, so I plugged it in and had a bit of a go at the spelling too.
Yeah.
Next question from My Life 212. He asks, can we get some clarification on the proposed Sandstorm spell that will be pulled in the future? Will it instantly fill all buckets and inventory in one cast, like Humidify? Will it be like Spin Flax?
Have we even decided?
I don't know if we're planning on definitely pulling it yet. We want to see how bucket packs go first. But
Yeah, we'd like to see what this does to people's existing activities before we poll yet another change on top of it that would base on it.
Yeah. I still definitely, I mean, gameplay-wise, I'd prefer if we do end up adding the spell rather than people going and filling up sand from a pit. But
I would be glad of the spell. I would also have been glad if it used sandstone, but I appreciate that's such a pain to get and bring to a bank that it probably can't.
yeah.
Casting the spell while standing in the desert is a reasonable compromise.
I think if you use sandstone, it would be sort of counterintuitive because it's so far away from a bank and it's hard to get to. So
Yeah, that's why I would not push for it. But it feels like a shame because we've got this junk item that's being dropped on the ground.
yeah. Heck, that might just mean we might need to add a way to, if we ever wanted it to be used, we could just make it more convenient to note nearby with a cost, perhaps, similar to how we did with Basalt.
yeah, talk to Anarcha.
Which you can actually note if you talk to
Lazim, I
Well,
think, is the only
Lazim,
NPC there.
yeah.
Good old Bert gives you like 84 a day.
Yeah.
Lazim's a complete and utter knob if you speak to him, though. So if you go there for the infinite camulet thing, I think he tells you roughly what he thinks of you in the in passing.
He definitely does.
I was expecting Kieran to be the first person to say a naughty
no.
word, but I'm surprised.
I never say naughty words.
Never.
No, never.
The next question is from Lunch Guy, and he asks, can we get a reverse depends on combat levels option for left-clicking monsters? By this, I mean monsters with a higher combat level than your own would be left-clickable, and monsters with a lower combat level would be right-clickable. I believe that's probably so that bosses...
Yeah.
I think it's mostly for Sire when you've got all the different spawns there that you want to not.
Yeah.
That is his exact
rail.
point that he gave, actually. He said bosses like Abyssal Sire are annoying on desktop because of this.
While the engine feature we got for reprioritising it is not flexible enough to allow that, which isn't a huge surprise, what we could do is change the word attack on the Sire and its lungs to the word fight, make that always be left click, and then the player can choose to have the attack options and all the other creatures present deprioritised via the existing setting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not I don't kill Sire much. Can you just explain to the chat what's annoying about it?
Well, basically, when you kill Sire, halfway through it and a bit further on, like a ton of little sire spawnings.
He's not exaggerating.
Yeah,
No.
like the longer the fight goes on, the more there is. Like sire spits them out like crazy, and basically they just hit you to like try damage you and kill you, which it is pretty dangerous actually. So the longer the fight goes on, the more there is. There's a good like 20 to 30 if you take too long. So yeah, I can see that being annoying. So in this case, you just have to right-click through them in case you do click on them to fight sire. Especially annoying when you have to constantly move to dodge the poison pools that spawn right under you. So I can see that how this is a bit annoying.
Yeah, similar neck rails
Yeah.
with the death spawns.
Yeah.
Don't really care for the death spawns. You don't want to ever attack them. You just want to attack the neck rail.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. I'm going to jump on chat questions because we've not answered any of those yet. At Old School RS, if you have any. The first one is actually from Mod Aiza, and it's just to politely remind me to shout out the updated blog post. We have updated it from yesterday when we released it. So do check that out. If Mod Rai can put that in the chat, that'd be fantastic. And then the first question from a person that isn't an employee is Zenki-san. Asking, can we trade in extra Slayer heads for Slayer points? This was asked before and had positive feedback, but hasn't been talked about since.
I don't recall that one, but I like it too.
I think at one point we mentioned maybe the Vorkath head is a little more common than the rest of them, and that one might not work. But giving a use to that might not be a terrible thing as well, and maybe just give it less points than the rest of them.
Well, they didn't say it had to be a lot of points, and we would base it on how rare the head is.
Yeah, I think it's a nice little thing for once you've done your Slayer helm recolours and mounted whichever heads you want on the walls. That if you can trade them in for points, it's not bad.
What about trading them for a guaranteed task of the creature's type?
Oh,
Yeah.
but what? So with Vorkath with a
Bar
150
Vorka.
head chance,
Yeah, Bar Vorka.
and and
Blue Dragon task.
And also, Carfight Creed would get one every other task
yeah,
on drop rate at least.
No, that's true.
that's pretty strong.
So
Fair play.
Yeah,
Too strong.
Slayer points sounds good though. I like the sound of that.
yeah,
unless it only worked once, maybe like 2 tasks in a row.
Let's give a nice straw poll on that one because I'm interested. Should spare Slayer? Is it Slayer creature head drops? Is that how you'd put it? Head trophies?
yeah. Trophy heads.
Should additional
Let's try
trophy
that.
heads be available to be traded in for points based on their rarity?
Except
there we go.
Vorka.
Except
Vorka.
well,
Or
we could
less
do
for
that.
Vorkath.
It'll just be less. So based on their rarity. The next question from the chat is Mr. Colroot, and that is, can we get an update on an you actually have one of these. Can we get an update on the extended zoom feature that was polled a few months ago?
So the engine team has provided the update to the engine that we need to do the work. I have now done the work, so I have it in testing.
All good.
And so you can do the you can zoom out further. You can see like the whole map square. If I knew this question was coming up, I would have brought a screenshot because I made loads.
Sir Jimmy jumped the gun. He was about to say typical engine work, but we have it. So there you go. Take that, Sir Jimmy.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that, did you?
Say sorry.
Yeah.
Apologise.
Or else, no.
Anyway, everyone should. You can't go on about engine. We're about to get mobile in like what 30th of October. Month and a half away. You got mobile coming out. That's all engine work. It's amazing. Anyway, so. Yeah, the work is done, it's ready in testing. Once it's been tested, we're just waiting a release date from the engine team for that. So I believe we're at least looking at probably the start of October at the earliest. But it depends when the next engine build is due. So, and it'll go out with that.
Awesome, there you go. Exciting news.
Yeah, the engine changes basically completely rewrites how zoom and the field of view is handled, which means our changes have to go out at the same time as the engine changes.
Awesome. The straw poll results are in about the trophy heads. Should spare Slayer head trophies be traded in for point scale on their rarity? 90% yes on that one. That's actually quite a large positive support to that. So if we can highlight that one, please, Mod Rock, that would be fantastic. That's
Something worth mentioning about releasing engine updates is that it now takes a lot longer than it used to, because whereas we could previously just, stick it on our servers, reboot our servers, engine update, it now goes to app stores for, because of mobile. And while mobile is totally worth it, we think, it does mean that the engine team can't release stuff anywhere near as fast as they used to. They've got to go through the various reviews, checks, compliance requirements. I don't claim to understand it all, but I know that they can't just stick it on their own servers and reboot them anymore.
Awesome. Next question is from Leon573, and he asks, the Rogue's Den has great rewards with the Rogue equipment set, but after that, there's no real reason to go there anymore. Is there a potential to add a potion or other consumable item to the rewards that boost your thieving or agility level by a percentage, similar to pies? Maybe an elite version of the outfit or something to incentivize going back?
I'm not really a fan of this, to be honest, because that's what the case with most minigames.
Yeah.
Once you get the Void outfit, you never really go back. So
Would there be a problem with giving a potential of a little bit of analyze when you complete it? If you got the full outfit already? I mean, I don't want to crash the price of, like, you know, stamina pots, but...
I certainly wouldn't want to put thieving boosts behind it.
yeah.
Because that's already at the Sorcerer's Garden.
Squirks.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they have a weird naming code. Pom?
It's short for pomegranate.
Yeah, pomegranate, there you go.
It's called pommy in the code, but it's short for pomegranate.
I suppose the only thing with you could get amylase from doing that minigame would be that you could then get amylase without doing agility.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this one of those, if you have suggestions, perhaps send them through and we can see that. And until then, maybe not. Dixon asks, could you make the gem bag upgradable to be able to store opal, jade and topaz gems?
Do you recall how it stores its data at the moment?
I really don't.
Me neither. If it's storing on the item, then no, we probably can't. If it's storing it on the player, then we can.
They're worth quite a bit of money, those now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it's
The
not
new
too,
silver jewellery. I'm guessing this will be for the gem mining in Karamja. So,
Didn't we put a bank in
There's
there?
a bank.
yeah.
Yeah.
But people are lazy. Justifiably.
Well, the bank's on the underground section.
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
So very lazy.
So very, very lazy.
One click versus a click and movement.
I can see why they need the improvements.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question coming from I'm Too Lazy for This. I don't know if that's Mod Rye just writing down a fake name when he was getting angry with the questions. I'm Too Lazy for This asks, instead of having unlimited jewellery teleport for the new player-owned house suggestions, can we charge them with charge versions? It creates item sinks and adds value to the raw materials instead of one-off payments.
Sorry, I'm too lazy for this.
Thoughts?
That does not sound like how any teleport in the house has gone before. I'd be a little surprised if people wanted us to do that to existing ones, certainly, or whether they think there was something a bit irritating and inconsistent about new ones we added that way.
I'll tell you the thing about this is, yes, you do pay an upfront fee, but the chances are you're not going to ever use that many teleports.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I've got the water birth in my house to go to DK's, but I've definitely not gone DK's 1,000 times. So
100 times.
100.
100 times in this case, but for the Nexus it would be 1,000 times. So I think in the long run, you're still probably spending more than you'd use, so I think it's fine as it is.
That's usually the goal when you have a one-off purchase.
Yeah.
It's usually to require X amount of resource and gold that although it's convenient,
Yeah.
we're kind of robbing you, to be honest with you. That's
Yeah.
kind of the point.
It's like minecarts. You're never going to use that many minecarts worth of money.
Yeah.
So
How many rubies are we charging?
250.
So, I mean, 250 dig site pendants. You get 8 teleports on each?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You ain't going to use that many, or at least not in a long time.
Some people will.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's gonna be some people.
but by the time you've done 250 amulets worth, it's like you're still going to have sunk a lot of rubies.
It's
I think it's
five.
fair
It's
game.
5.
Oh, it's 5.
Five, actually.
Five, sorry.
Okay, it's still a
Unlike
lot.
with the, yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then,
1,250 dig site
Yeah.
teleports.
and then 5,000 lizard man fangs for the Xerix talisman.
Yeah.
I think it's fair.
And you still have a cost, technically, to get to your house to use it.
Yeah. You still get to your house.
Yep. If you want convenience, you wouldn't use it anyway because your bank's chuck closer. So yeah, I think what we put out is fine.
Cool. Next question from Somewhat Toxic. With the recent berry bush update added in game, is it possible for the yield update to be applied to mushroom allotments in Cannabis? There's only one patch in the game and it has a cap of 6 mushrooms. Harvest time is 4 hours and you barely get enough to protect a single white berry bush.
If we can also add a chance of you getting a somewhat toxic mushroom as one that you pick.
I mean, there is one other place to get mushrooms, I suppose, as well, is if you do cut the Celicept trees.
Oh yeah, you get loads from that. I forgot.
So-
We burn them out, but you can't note them anywhere. There's no nearby bank.
No. But
If only there was an unlimited dig site teleport pendant of some kind that you could use to get back to our local. No. I'm quite for that.
I'm very fine with
I'm
making that change
totally
to
fine
mushroom
with that.
patches because we did it the same as the others.
Awesome. Lazy Paul asks, could we get the option to disable the deposit worn items / inventory buttons on the bank interface? It's frustrating depositing my carefully constructed quest inventory more times than I care to admit. Everybody's done that by accident, haven't they? You accidentally pressed the...
I already wrote a toggle for the one that deposits your worn items. We can make it apply to the other one as well, or separately if that's necessary.
Do you reckon we could add an undo? Like, ooh.
what for the bank?
So, when you do deposit your whole inventory, we remember the items that were in your inventory and try and make a withdrawal request
Oh, I was like,
Of
if
the
we do that
same-
already, that sounds like a really easy job. Oh,
of the same items and put them back in your inventory.
that's really good.
Yes.
I think we
In the
can
same
do that
slots as well.
Well, what we'd have to do
with
is...
enough effort.
Well, the thing about when you worn items is it knows which slot the thing's meant to go in, because there's usually not a lot of ambiguity about where you could possibly want to stick it.
Okay, for the
Whereas
record,
in the inventory, not so much, but it'd be better than nothing.
for the record, that's not presets. That is me. Oh, I accidentally pressed deposit all. Oh, I get the same things back in my inventory. That's not what a preset is, mate. That's if you type Google and then preset, you'll know what it means. But that is really fucking.
So I imagine the implementation
Really
would
cool.
be
Really
you
cool.
right click on the deposit button and it would have undo if you had made a deposit request.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
And you'd probably want to clear it as soon as you've done anything else. I don't know, but we'll have to work that out.
Any other action clears it,
Yeah.
basically.
Awesome. That's a great idea. I love that. Thank you so much. Let's
We
move.
can tell how much he likes it.
It slipped out. Hot waffles, spelt with a H-A-W. So it's like hot.
I missed what you said.
Good. Are there any?
That's okay.
I technically didn't say anything. Are there any plans to make certain click boxes bigger for the release of mobile? When I'm training agility, for example, I'm usually just guessing or spam tapping randomly to try and find the correct spot.
To be honest, it's partially a problem with agility in general, more so than the size of click zones. It's that, especially on a lot of the weird rooftops, is that, there's just a random bit of roof that you click on. There's nothing to signify that that's where you need to click. And perhaps the way to approach it would be to go and put something there that makes it quite clear that that's where you're meant to click.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's your first time doing that course, you're going to be pretty lost because it's not very clear.
Plus, we had to make those things when we didn't even have an artist in the team,
Yeah,
which
true.
really limited what we could do with the models.
I love my flying pole vault stick in Mauritania.
I like to think we could have been a bit less limited than that, but the dev had been told you've got to do it in Canifis because that's what had been put in the blog for the players before he started. Therefore, he had to try and work with Canifis. When it came to our doing, we very nearly said it couldn't be done at all until we found that there was just that very narrow strip where you could stand. Otherwise, you'd be knee-deep in the roof, and that's not quite how thatch works even, so it's very limited.
I just saw a nice question in the chat.
I did as
Shout
well.
out.
Who was it for?
What's your fondest
Yeah,
memory
Lord.
of playing RuneScape?
Thank you, Lord. I was going to jump on that one because I was
Going to start Mod Bruno
Yeah. Fondest memory of RuneScape, my Bruno.
of playing RuneScape. But
I don't know. Long term, I'm not too sure. I'd say getting an Infernal Cape's a good one.
Dude.
flexing on the screen.
I mean,
Fair.
The arrogance.
I don't
coming from
class
Mod
that
Bruno
as
right
the
there.
fondest memory. I class a
It
fond
was
memory
a-
as an old one.
well, I mean, it was the best memory. I don't really know fond memories.
No, that's completely legit.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You know, the feeling
Yeah.
after failing.
It was a really good feeling.
Yeah.
This is like next level Chad. He's so manly right now. What about you, Ash? Have you got any fond memories?
In the spring of 04, everyone was looking forward to the launch of RS2 or dreading the launch of RS2, depending on their point of view, because this whole 3D version that wasn't sprites might be the thing that caused the death of RuneScape for many players. And my goal was to make sure that before it came out, I'd done, I'd done everything in Classic. I hadn't maxed, of course, but I made sure I'd got in all the guilds, and I'd done all the quests, and Fishing Guild was the last one I got into without a potion, and then I realised I don't own a cannon. It's the one thing I haven't done still, so saved up, got a cannon, a couple of days left still before the update came out, and I thought, yep, I've done RS Classic.
You're beaten.
Yep,
Beaten.
and I'm ready for RS2 to happen to me now.
Cool.
And of course my cannon and its balls got converted in the conversion process, which meant that you got all your balls doubled, I think, because ammo was multiplied by 2. It was nice to be in there first.
Nice. Well,
That's awesome. I was actually going to pass it on to you, Mod Monroe, simply because I'll go last.
okay.
Because I can do that because I'm the host and I can direct
Right.
because I haven't thought of one yet.
Yeah.
Oh, if they were multiplied by 4, you got 4-fold balls.
Quadruple balls.
Apparently
Excellent.
so.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, so it was probably back when I was playing, like, maybe 10 years ago, something like that. And it was when RuneScape and stuff had just came into the game and things. And we were, well, I was running a mining conglomerate with a few of my friends where we'd stand in the Dark Bank.
That's probably an excessive name. Conglomerate.
There was 10 of us.
Did you have a forum? Did you have a forum thread?
Yeah, we had a forum
Yeah,
thread.
man,
Yeah.
man.
And we would just stand there buying, like, 1,000 RuneScape for 500 GP each. And then we'd get it all our money would be into that, and then we'd turn around and sell it for 30k each to other
Wow,
people.
you hustler. Absolute hustler.
Basically, these businesses that RuneScape used to have were just scammers at the end of the day. That's literally all I did. Here's an easy sale for a
This
really
is the
crap
Don
price.
Corleone of like the game right here.
Sure.
I'd say my fondest memory, I mean, there's so many. I loved the period where I was playing Next, Dungeoneering. I loved when I obviously first started playing the game back in 2007, but I think my favourite period is the launch of Old School. That rush of everyone going into the game, but knowing what they're doing is very different to obviously going back to 2007 legit. So you had obviously a brand new economy, you had all these people racing towards the top and to the first 99s, and no one had unlocked things. The economy was so weird, and you know, looking at the high scores to find out who can I purchase these potions from, who can I get a black mask from, and you're trying to make contacts. You got your herblore contact, you got your crafting contact, you got your magician contact, because you need to get your fury amulet enchanted, you need to get your black mask, you need to get your super strength potions and all these things, and like it was just so much fun. It was a thrill, and yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, there's some of that I miss about having a GE.
Yeah. Oh. I guess my fondest memory, it's hard to choose. Well, I mean, that time that ModMark PM'd me and told me to buy 72,000 climbing boots before the update was a great what? No. You can't.
Are these the boots where you can still look them up on our GE today? In Old
You
School?
can actually, and you can never buy them.
Yeah.
I guess
These boots are made for trolling, it says so.
it's not one particular thing, but rather it's a very humbling thing knowing that a community that you've been a part of for so long is still a part of your life in general. And you can think back about all the friends you've made, and it sounds really cheesy, but like, because like I've had friends who have passed away who I met through RuneScape, but friends who I still talk to today only because of RuneScape as well. People that you see in real life at things like RuneFest that previously you only knew through a computer screen. And like all those little moments combine to make like a really special thing, I think. That
It's hard to really grasp how much impact, especially for us, that it's made on our lives. Obviously, it's now our careers, let alone meeting friends and everything.
not only for years.
And, well, yeah, and it's ridiculous, and I don't think it will really ever sink until you leave this job. But
I'm terrified about possibly ever leaving. Like, I think I'll break down in tears. And please don't leave. Nobody else leave, please. Can you all stay forever?
I'm not crying, you're crying.
Whether we
Shut up,
swear
you're
very loudly
crying.
on a live stream and get fired.
Oh, that's true. To be fair, I didn't say the full word. The next question, let's move on before we tear up. The next question coming in from Coda asked, this is also a really touchy question as well, actually. Can we give the stray dog in Varrock a peaceful and loving home in our player-owned house after completing the Varrock Elite Diaries?
Can we just delete it?
Someone called Peter.
Peter.
I mean, Don't get me wrong, Varrock isn't the nicest city, and maybe a stray dog would be around. But god darn, it's so annoying. And I know it's Ash's fault.
Hey, I was a young developer and I realised I can make NPCs spontaneously follow people. That's how you end up with the chairs in Draenor Manor.
But they're cool.
Well, this is different graphics, but
The same.
Every time you're smithing in the anvil house, and the dog just runs up to you every time you cross to the bank.
so what we need clearly is to change them into chairs.
And then that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can sit while you smith.
No, just look at you.
Right. Question. I'm still emotional from the last question.
Maybe it would be better if we just moved it away from that area of Varrock and, like, seeing it's a little less of a thorough way.
To not be a stray. He's a dog.
Give him for Charlie the Champ.
Give him a attack.
Charlie the Tramp.
Okay.
Do that.
Well, there's the other tramp as well, the one who actually asks you for money and shouts your name if you don't give him any.
We could make him
He's
into
based on someone I met.
we can make him into a multi, and you know the bar of soap you can get from that one the quest where you clean up the.
Morning
If
kit.
you use it on him, you can wash him up and swap him to be like a regular dog. It's all happy, and there's no more fleas.
If you use shears on it, maybe you can shave the dog and then it won't attract fleas so badly.
Okay. Yeah, some things to make it cleaner, so it's not, you don't feel as bad walking past it. I'm going to move on from this question. Sorry, guys. Dan50 asks, can we have a graphical rework of lava dragons? Currently, they look a little bit like a glitchy mess.
Yeah, they do that.
Ryan, what do you reckon?
Want to make a lava dragon rework, Modorai?
That sounded like the.
He said, I have to use textures on an NPC, and I don't like that.
This is a good thing not to like, because if you see what they look like, that's what happens if you put texture on NPC. On the other hand, they look ghastly.
They look very.
Can we not make a lava dragon that doesn't use textures?
We could just not use textures.
Yeah. Just no textures.
Like, I'm sure you could make eloquent lava without it being the stretchy bit of paper. I see it like a stretchy bit of wrapping tape that it just kind of looks really.
It's like someone's got a bowl of baked beans and pressed down on with cling film and taken a photo.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
There you go. Potentially, we'll look into that. If you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions or artwork to look at as well, do send it over. That'd be great. Next question from Scotter asks, with the new death rework, will you be able to loot your gravestone while in combat without the interface being closed every few ticks?
I got an idea of how to make that possible. It would involve the kind of floater interface we used on the world map, the one that stays there while you walk around and fight and whatever. It means you wouldn't be able to have the world map open while you're looting your own grave, but hopefully you'll be able to live without directions once you're at your own grave.
Awesome. That's the answer they definitely want, I think. Jamie Fair from the chat asks, are we ever going to get veteran capes in Old School RuneScape? It would be really awesome.
Get what, sorry?
Veteran capes. Thoughts on vet capes?
Maybe they're vets for that dog. I do like something to recognise people who've been in Old School since it kicked off in 2013. While we could try to recognise people who've been on the same account ever since the really old days, like 04, 07, that kind of era, the trouble is so many people in Old School weren't able to use their original accounts when they came back for the launch of Old School RuneScape, that a veteran cape would be excluding a pretty high proportion of the people that it was intended to honour. So I'd like to do a veteran cape that deals with the earliest launch of Old School, but probably not beyond that. Of course, that is over 5 years, and 5 years ain't an unreasonable thing to give you a cape for, I see in the other RuneScape.
Yep. They didn't seem very up for it in the chat.
They did.
But that surprised me, actually.
You know, when we polled them the other day about whether they'd like discontinued items in holiday events and the untradeable discontinued ones that would be a longevity status symbol for your longevity, they didn't do so well, certainly compared to the ones you could merch for easy money. Funny that. But maybe there isn't so much interest in showing off your longevity as I thought.
It's always interesting. I mean, you know, for the record, by the way, the chat is a tiny proportion of people that we poll usually.
But
I
we
also
value you
expect,
all the
like,
same.
We love you, but and you do generally give us a usual average idea of what most people will think, but sometimes you are a different subset of a community, so we take everything that's said with a pinch of salt, but salty.
I mean, I've read a bunch of feedback, obviously, when we put the poll out regarding the holiday events and the discontinued items there. Like, a lot of people just want Old School to be sort of timeless.
Yeah.
So there's like, you log on this day, and then you log on 3 years later, and it's not. There's nothing you could have gained that that player now can't gain, essentially. So I get that view. And I guess veteran capes, obviously you can sort of earn, but you can't really do anything directly to get it. And maybe that falls into that. I mean, looking at the number of yeses and nos in the chat, that could well be representative of yeses from the people who played 5 years ago, and nos from the people that don't right now, and don't have 5 years now. But it's tricky, really.
Certainly, there are a lot of people who aren't able to play when they want to, and time-locked events that give you a one-off thing, which you'll never, ever be able to get again if you didn't play in that 1 2-week period. I can see that being harsh, given that people apparently take holidays.
Awesome.
So I'm told.
Yeah. The next question is from SK. And they ask, a few months ago on the Q&A, you guys discussed adding the original strength bonus back to the Serpentine helm, and it was well received. Would it be possible to poll this soon, or do we have different opinions on that now?
I don't even remember that one, sorry.
I never remember half the time they say, you said this before. I'm like, sure, probably.
That's why we've got Modrock upstairs taking notes of the good ones.
Yes.
I would feel more comfortable offering the same strength bonuses that Nate's not has.
Yeah, I definitely feel the Serpentine helm isn't as good as it should be, provided it costs so much more than the helm of Nate is not, and it's got no other bonuses aside from Venom. If we were to do that, then we should probably nerf Venom to make it balanced.
I think it already has the same as the Nezzy helm.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
So a 50, well, not even 50k helm anymore, like a 30k helm is the same as a 2 mil helm.
Yeah.
Which has the added cost of scales, so yeah, I can see why they want it.
5 mil, apparently.
It's 5 mil?
The chat will always catch you.
Ah, yeah, the scales have gone up a lot. Yeah,
Did they? Why?
because range.
Range.
Oh. Oh,
They
yeah.
used to be they used to be 2 mil, when scales are about 100 each.
I'm going on my account tonight and selling some of my stuff.
Yeah, they're over 200 now.
Awesome.
Oh wow.
Dan asks, can we have the hill giants from hill through to fire, including moss, etc., to be combined into one task of giant, so we can kill any type of giant?
If we do all of these requests, there'll be 4 different Slayer tasks. There's
Humanoids.
But this is the point. Like, Slayer's meant to direct you to certain creatures, so
Yeah.
I don't feel it's really akin to the skill to go and ask to do categories of tasks. The odd circumstance, like we did spiritual creatures. I mean, you could probably make the same argument, but that argument, I think, at the time was very much 2 of the creatures are awful, and 1 of them's all right.
Yeah.
So, with this is less of a problem.
Yeah.
Same with metal dragons.
For giants, I don't see this being a problem because Neve or Steve and Duradel only assign fire giants, so it's not like you're going to get hill giants or moss giants as a task.
I mean, I'm still keen on giant bosses.
Yeah.
On a slightly different topic related. Obviously we added a moss giant boss. We've got the hill giant boss. Adding one for ice and fire.
That'd be cool.
Would be cool.
A giant of ice and fire, that's a good name.
Twin-headed giant.
Maybe it's a twin boss, like the Grotesque Guardians. Fire and ice, because it just goes well together.
That sounds like a reference.
Ice and fire.
Yeah, okay. All right. The next question, if you're not an avid viewer of the stream, you might not remember this, is a throwback to another question a few weeks ago, which I do remember. But we were talking about Barbarian skilling and potential future expansions to Barbarian skilling. But hear me out, this is actually a pretty good one. This is actually really, really good. Also, I didn't get these questions, for the record, but I'm actually excited about this. Hear me out, okay? What do you think about Barbarian farming, allowing you to plant seeds and harvest without the need of a spade or seed dibber? Instead, you punch the seed into the ground. How many times have you forgot?
I'm sorry. That's not Barbarian skilling. That is just, I don't want to have a seed dibber anymore.
And also, no, wait, Kieran, there's more.
Exactly.
Kieran, there's more.
What was that? Oh, and I suppose punch the plants to harvest if no seconders. That's a bit silly.
Yeah.
What if you just, what if you just yell at the plant and the leaves fall off?
All jokes aside, a seed dibber is an annoying thing that you sometimes forget.
There's a tool leprechaun
Yeah.
right there.
It carries one, and the last time I forgot, I took it out and then I banked it, and then I go again and I go, damn it, I forgot it again.
Well, that's your fault.
Fair point,
What it's
fair
worth,
point.
it wouldn't have been very hard to write the leprechaun so that he doesn't store anything at all. He merely acts as a portal for those specific items between himself and your bank.
I like the sound of that. But I also don't think it's too, like, I'm not a farmer.
Bank space, though.
Like, I'm not a farmer, but I have a feeling that I'll be able to like finger a hole in the soil and put a seed in without like having to yell at it or use a specialised tool of some sort. But
It's a real life tool.
Yeah, the leprechaun found he wasn't carrying any you'd stored there, and he defaulted to just being a portal to the contents of your bank. I suppose, unless you put a pin check on it, then you might be able to steal all somebody's dibbers without knowing their pin.
no,
All of them.
And then you'd have all their dibbers.
I suppose you'd be able to steal all of their things of compost.
I would like
That
that.
would be more of a thing.
How far can you go? Like smelting bars, just the heat of your hands, crushing the ores into each other. Oh, I got a metal bar. I mean, what other skills have we got?
such hot hands?
Fletching. You don't need a knife anymore. You can just really scrape it off how tight your chest is as a barbarian. All of a sudden you got bows. I mean, this is ridiculous. Just this all just sounds like we just want to rid of tools because it's annoying.
I mean, what you said was ridiculous. I don't think fingering a bit of compost to make a hole to put a seed in, is that ridiculous in the realm of possibilities?
I do when you put it like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or we could have some barbarian combat, right, where you don't have weapons.
That exists.
I know.
I know.
That's
Actually, all jokes. Oh no, I'm not going to talk about that. Never mind. It's fine. I'm going to say it is a couple of minutes past about 6 now. It's definitely a few minutes past 1. It's a few minutes past 6.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for watching and tuning in this week. At the start, we of course had all of our suggestions and stuff. Before we end, I want to just quickly show those the top 3 for the 100 Master Clue Scroll reward. That'll be being pulled tomorrow, so keep this in mind. There we go. They will be pulled tomorrow with poll, I believe, number 60, which is going to include a lot more quality of life stuff as well, including some pretty awesome stuff. So if you haven't seen that, also check out the blog. It has been updated. I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and tomorrow's going to be a great update. Look forward to that left click cooking on Rangers, and take care. Bye.